What if, in the hardest moment of your life, destiny brought someone special into your path? Discover how Hannah turned heartbreak into a new beginning in this story that will move and inspire you. Hannah was a woman with an easy smile, bright eyes, and big dreams. Since their teenage years, she and Alex shared a bond that seemed unbreakable. They had met as kids at a school party and had been inseparable ever since. Alex was the kind of person who made everyone around him feel special, but with Hannah it was different. He made her feel unique. He was kind, loving, and seemed to share the same dreams she held close to her heart, like building a family and living a life filled with love and togetherness. Over the years, Hannah nurtured the certainty that she would spend her life by Alex's side. The feeling was mutual. He enveloped her with gestures of affection, from handwritten letters to simple but meaningful surprises, like taking her to watch the sunset. They loved walking hand in hand along the beach, feeling the ocean breeze and talking about the future as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange. Their connection seemed like something out of a fairy tale, and Hannah believed with all her heart that nothing could ever break that bond. One day, something shifted in Hannah's routine. Small changes in her body started to catch her attention, a slight dizziness in the morning, a fatigue that wouldn't go away, and then a delay that put her on high alert. Each day carried a growing, silent anticipation. Finally, unable to wait any longer, she bought a pregnancy test and with trembling hands, waited for the result. When 2 lines appeared on the screen, her heart raced. She was pregnant. A mix of surprise and happiness washed over her, and tears rolled down her cheeks as she placed her hand on her belly, feeling the start of something extraordinary. The thought of having a baby with Alex filled her with indescribable joy. Ever since they met, she had dreamed of building a family with him, and now that dream was about to come true. Hannah imagined Alex's smile when she told him the news, his hands gently touching her belly, and the two of them planning every detail of their future together. She eagerly waited for the perfect moment to share the news. That evening, as they chatted on the couch under the soft glow of the lamp, Hannah took a deep breath, her heart beating faster. "Alex," she said with a shy smile, "I'm pregnant." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. She expected an explosion of joy in his eyes, a reaction that mirrored the happiness flooding her heart. But all she saw was surprise, followed by an expression she didn't recognize. Coldness took over Alex's face as he leaned slightly away on the couch. "Pregnant," he repeated, as if trying to process what he had just heard. I don't know if I'm ready for this." His voice was hesitant, almost distant, and the words pierced Hannah's heart like a blade. She reached for his hand, seeking some connection, but Alex stood up, running his hands through his hair in a nervous gesture. "This is such a huge responsibility, Hannah. I don't think I can handle this right now." Hannah could hardly believe what she was hearing. This was the same man she had dreamed of sharing her life with, someone who always seemed ready to build a future with her. Now he was hesitating, pulling away. "Alex, please," she began, her voice trembling. "We've always talked about this. You said you wanted to be a father someday. I thought you'd be happy." But Alex avoided her gaze, pacing the room as if trapped in an internal battle. Finally, he stopped, but his next words were a blow she never expected. "I can't do this, Hannah. Not now. I need time to think." That same night, he grabbed his keys and walked out the door, leaving Hannah alone with the sound of it closing echoing in the room. She stood frozen, her hand on her belly, trying to process the emptiness he had left behind. The dream that had felt so real was now crumbling before her. The happiness she felt at discovering her pregnancy was transforming into a pain she didn't know how to bear. And there, in the deafening silence, she realized she was alone to face the greatest challenge of her life. The days that followed were the hardest of Hannah's life. Each morning was a battle just to get out of bed. The silence of the apartment, once filled with laughter, now echoed with abandonment. But there was something inside her that pushed her to keep going, the baby. With every movement she felt in her belly, she knew she had to be strong. Her mother became a pillar of support. Sitting at the kitchen table, with the aroma of fresh coffee filling the air, her mother held her hands and said, "My daughter, you're not alone. This baby is a gift. Don't let Alex's departure take away your joy of becoming a mother." These words reignited something in Hannah. She began to rebuild herself, attending medical appointments, decorating the baby's room, and even joining maternity groups. One day, while visiting a baby store, she met Mark. It was a casual and unpretentious encounter. Hannah tried to reach a high shelf, lost her balance, and Mark caught her before she could fall. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice deep yet gentle. Hannah smiled, a bit embarrassed, explaining that she had been a little clumsy lately. During their conversation, she discovered that Mark worked as a sales assistant in the store and loved helping customers find exactly what they needed. Noticing her struggle to choose items for the baby's room, he offered to assist with decorating suggestions and color combinations. His kindness was natural, and he took care to explain the options in a way that made Hannah feel comfortable deciding. Relieved and grateful for his help, she accepted. As they walked through the store's aisles, discussing each choice, their interaction felt spontaneous and light. Mark asked simple yet genuine questions, and for the first time in a long while, Hannah felt at ease and welcomed. Little did she know, this casual and unpretentious meeting would mark the beginning of a transformation in her life. From that day on, the kind and attentive man who crossed her path would begin to play a role she could never have anticipated. Days passed, but Hannah couldn't forget Mark. To her surprise, they ran into each other again at a local cafe. Fate seemed to be bringing them together. Gradually, Mark became a constant presence in her life. He helped Hannah with baby preparations, offering advice and suggestions based on his experience as a store associate. This practical help fostered a genuine bond between them. Initially, their relationship was purely friendly, with Mark always respecting the delicate moment Hannah was going through. They soon became friends, sharing light-hearted conversations that extended beyond the baby, covering hobbies and everyday stories. Mark's attentiveness and ability to bring a smile to Hannah's face, even on her hardest days, became a source of comfort. Over time, something deeper began to develop. Hannah, who still carried the hurt and sadness from Alex's abandonment, realized that her feelings of loneliness were fading. She found herself increasingly happy in Mark's presence and slowly recognized that the affection she felt for him wasn't just friendship. Her heart was beginning to open again, something she never thought possible after all she had endured. Mark, on the other hand, also started seeing Hannah in a new light. He admired her strength and the way she faced the challenges of pregnancy. Aware of her vulnerability, he remained gentle and respectful, never forcing any form of closeness. His patience and unwavering support showed her that he was by her side out of choice, not obligation. A pivotal moment between them happened while they were at a cafe a few weeks before Hannah's due date. She suddenly felt unwell, and Mark immediately came to her aid, taking her to the hospital without hesitation. During the examination, the doctor, noticing Mark's dedication, assumed he was the baby's father and reassured them that both mother and child were doing well. Embarrassed to correct the doctor, Mark simply smiled, while Hannah, despite her worry, noticed how secure and comforting it felt to have him by her side. The day passed, and Hannah was discharged, but that moment left a lasting impression on both of them. They both felt they were falling in love, but fear and hesitation held them back from expressing their feelings. Mark continued to offer his unconditional support, while Hannah couldn't help but smile whenever he was near. Finally, as the due date approached, Mark decided it was time to be honest about his feelings. In a quiet conversation in Hannah's living room, he said with an open heart, "Hannah, I need you to know that being by your side these past few months has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. I've fallen in love with you, and I want to be here not just for you but for your baby, if you'll let me." Hannah, moved to tears, smiled and replied, "Mark, I never thought I could feel this way again. You've brought joy back into my life. I've fallen in love with you too." She then invited him to be by her side, along with her mother, on the day of the baby's birth. Mark was deeply touched and accepted with gratitude. In that moment, both of them knew they were building something special, something real. The big day finally arrived. Accompanied by her mother, Hannah entered the delivery room with her heart racing and full of anticipation. Mark, though unable to be by her side inside, waited anxiously in the waiting room, ready to provide any support needed. His presence meant the world to Hannah, and knowing he was there gave her strength as she faced this challenging moment. After hours of labor, the most exhilarating sound filled the room. The first cry of her baby echoed in the room. It was a beautiful baby boy. Hannah felt an indescribable relief, and tears of joy streamed down her face as she held the little one for the first time. Her mother, overwhelmed with emotion, squeezed her hand, sharing that magical moment. Shortly after the birth, the baby was taken to the nursery, and Mark was called to see him. When Mark arrived at the nursery, he was speechless. Emotion overcame him as he watched the baby sleeping peacefully. "He's perfect," he thought to himself, feeling a warmth in his heart he had never experienced before. A nurse mistook him for the baby's father, but Mark only smiled shyly, not bothering to correct the misunderstanding. To him, that moment was unique, almost as if he was meant to be there. A little later, Hannah was brought back to her room. When her eyes met Mark's, she couldn't hold back her tears. "You're here," she said, her voice filled with emotion. He stepped closer, holding her hand with firmness and tenderness. "I always will be," Mark replied with a genuine smile. Hannah felt complete for the first time in a long while. All the pain of the past, the moments of loneliness and abandonment, seemed like they belonged to another life. She knew she had found something real with Mark. Holding her baby in her arms, she looked at Mark and realized this kind, loving man was now part of her family in a way no one else could be. Her future was finally full of light, and Hannah was ready to leave her past behind, ready to start anew with Mark and her son. As the months passed, Hannah and Mark's relationship grew even stronger. They shared the challenges of raising a baby, as well as the light-hearted and joyful moments. Mark always showed care and respect, making Hannah feel loved and cherished. One quiet evening, as they sat together on the couch, Mark looked into Hannah's eyes and said, "I never imagined I'd find a love like ours. I promise I'll always be here for you and our son." Hannah smiled and replied, "And I promise I'll never stop loving you." They kissed, and in that moment, Hannah knew she was exactly where she always wanted to be. The future she had longed for was now her reality. With Mark by her side, she had found true love, the kind that never fails, never abandons, and has the power to heal even the deepest wounds. This is the story of Hannah, a woman who faced abandonment, found strength in the unconditional love for her child, and discovered true love with Mark. It's a testament to the fact that even after the greatest pain, life can surprise us with something wonderful. Did you enjoy this story? Let us know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And don't forget to like this content and share it with someone special. Want more inspiring and emotional stories like this? Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a thing. Your support means the world to us. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.